Angels, guardians, ghosts, and saints all play a part of this close and range. Holy men, prophets, healers, and kings. That's my entourage, man. The posse I bring. Angels.
Welcome back to the Corin Grillo Show. I'm here with my friend Brannon Patrick. And Brannon Patrick, I mean, you know, we just finally had to hit record. He and I were just talking a long time. So Brannon is such a badass. He's an amazing human. He's a therapist. He's also the host of the Brannon Patrick Show, which is an amazing podcast. And I'm so happy to have you here, Brannon, because we have such juicy things to talk about today. We're going to be talking about how Brannon was raised LDS out there in Utah, and he's currently located in the Salt Lake area. But we're going to talk about his journey in stepping away from the LDS Church, deconstructing what he's kind of had to what he's undergone to kind of make that transformation, and where he's at now, and other stuff. Yeah. So Brannon, thanks so much. I mean, lately I've been so passionate about hearing about people's journeys and really helping folks deconstruct from some of maybe their own indoctrination in a variety of different ways, not necessarily LDS. But can you tell me a little bit about your journey, growing up LDS or wherever you want to start, really?
Yeah. I mean, I was raised as a Mormon as you can be. And we're technically, well, the church has come out and said, don't call us Mormons anymore. Apparently that's a thing we're not supposed to use.
You're not? I didn't know that.
But now that I'm kind of out of the church, I can use it all I want. So
I didn't know. I didn't know that. So how long ago were we not supposed to call?
Well, yeah, a few years back. So it's really interesting. The church a few years back came out with a movie called Meet the Mormons. And they had Mormon.org, and they were embracing Mormon all the way. And then all of a sudden it was like, Christ would not want the church to be called the Mormon Church. It is the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And so, so now they came out with a media guide and said, to all the media and everything, do not refer to us as Mormons, refer to us as the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So anyways, I used to be a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I actually still am a member, I should say. But I used to be a practicing member, and I was very, very much like in it growing up. And my mom and dad, staunch, rigid LDS. Me and my brothers, we all three of us served missions, meaning we went for 2 years and proselyted and tried to share Book of Mormons with as many people as we possibly could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good old colonizers doing their colonization.
Doing our thing. Yeah. And I was doing it in the Philippines. So I did
It's a tradition.
It's still going on these days.
Still going on. Never stopped. So tell me, I mean, what was that? So you were only in the Philippines?
Yeah. So it's really interesting, talking about my journey. The church just was life. It was just in the air that I breathed. I didn't know anything different. And so, I was taught Joseph Smith was a prophet and God is this way. And, we pray to our Heavenly Father. We never talk about a Heavenly Mother. And I could go on with the different beliefs and indoctrinations and things, but that just was for me. And the church kind of figured something out, and I think it's kind of brilliant. But in terms of stages of development, here's the therapist in me coming out. In terms of stages of development, when the church captures that age from 19 to 21 and they send you on a mission, you're in this stage of like, I'm just soaking it all in. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. And now I'm going to go spend all day, every day testifying to people that this is true. This is the thing. This is what you should do. And it just kind of locks in the indoctrination a little bit.
Wow.
And, you get home from your mission and, you're weird. You're like so robotic and in the box, like just drinking the Kool-Aid all the way of what the church believes and what the church teaches. And
so tell me, I'm curious about like, so you think that going on the mission kind of took the indoctrination to a whole new level for you and made you weirder?
No question.
Really?
And I've seen it happen to basically everybody who goes. So you go and it's day in and day out. I mean, you have to study the Book of Mormon a ton. You have to testify. You have to study with your companion every day. There's all these like little rigid rules on your mission that you have to keep. You have to wear, a white shirt and a tie every day. And so by the time you get home, like you're in, and whether you believe in it or not, you have to act like you believe in it because you're out there testifying about it all day long. And so,
wow.
So yeah, I loved my mission in many ways. I went to a foreign country. I experienced being away from my parents, which was good for me.
Yeah.
But I also didn't appreciate the way that it indoctrinated me. And so I got home with that indoctrination. And along with that came a lot of guilt, a lot of shame mixed in there. Can
you explain more?
We're taught, a couple of things the church teaches, that things like here's a scripture, I, the Lord, am bound when you do what I say, but when you do not, you have no promise. So basically, when you're obedient, you will be blessed. And on the mission, you're taught if you're obedient, you'll be successful. You'll be able to baptize people, this and that. And they have all these rules. And so it creates this kind of contingency model of God's love, where it's like, I need to earn it. I need to be good enough. And if things happen bad in my life, that must be because of me. It's not because of God or anything else. It's because of my unworthiness. And also the church's beliefs around sex and sexuality are very rigid, very in the box. Sex is between a man and a woman after they get married. Like that's what sex is. And sex is in all the other things that you and I know that it is, like what sexuality is. And so like, if you're on a mission, and so on my mission, I never masturbated. Like I never looked at porn, masturbated. I didn't have one orgasm on my mission. 19 to 21, my hormones were just no orgasm, no masturbation, no sex, no nothing.
No wonder you came back weird.
I know, seriously. And the truth is like most missionaries are masturbating, but it's this thing where it's like so looked down upon. So they feel just horrible about who they are and this thing they need to fight. And, this natural thing inside of them that's so dirty and wrong and disgusting. I didn't masturbate because I was so good. Like I was going to be so good.
You're so good.
Yeah. I was going to be the one that like makes it through without like touching my penis. You're right.
The great enemy, your own penis.
My own penis is the great enemy. Yeah, it really, that's how it is, and so, mixed in, there's this sexual shame with this contingency model of love about obedience. And so, if I listened to, like, I loved Garth Brooks at that time. If I listened to a Garth Brooks song, that's a big deal. Like, you don't do that on your mission.
Because is Garth Brooks, controversial? I don't really know Garth.
For some reason, Corinne, I don't know why. You can listen to like the Mormon Tabernacle Choir on your mission and Enya. I don't know why. I don't know why Enya's okay, but like those two things, more, that's it. Other than that, you listen to Garth, like you're going to hell. Like that's bad. You don't do that, right?
What?
Yeah. So just stupid stuff, like made up crap. But it's made up crap, and I can see it now.
Yeah.
But when I was in it, like, it meant something to me, and it really shaped a sense of like identity of who am I when it comes to being a son of God and connecting to God. And it took some real deconstruction to get to a place where it's like, God doesn't work that way. A lot of this stuff is actually, I believe, counter to the way God is, very opposite. And it's taken my lifetime, 44 years, to come to this place of like, and some good plant medicine as well, to get to this place of like, hey, like, I definitely feel like I can see outside that box. But 19 to 21, and then getting into marriage, like, I don't know how much depth you want me to go into, Corinne, but
I mean, go where you want to go, son. I'm all in. I mean, we're talking, the dark enemy, your penis. And I mean, it's I'm fascinated. So wherever you want to go.
So, it's interesting being a therapist here in Utah County because, and being my age, middle age, like, everyone I talk to some degree that's kind of within our age range is in this place of faith expansion, and the church still, even though I don't believe in it anymore, it still dominates my life in many ways. Yeah. Like, I have friends, like yesterday, a friend called me, and he's leaving the church, and his in-laws are very in the church, and they're looking down on him, and all his neighbors are judging him, and he doesn't know what to do. And so, like, he's calling me, for some support. I get those calls all the time.
Yeah.
I hung out with another best friend of mine last week he's all in the church. So, he doesn't know why I'm falling away. That's what they call it, falling away. Right. So there's these feelings of kind of judgment and weird feelings in relationships. My parents think I'm not okay. I'm not doing the right thing. I'm definitely not okay.
Wow.
Yeah. So I talk about faith expansion a lot on my podcast. My dad doesn't listen to my podcast. He thinks it's garbage. He thinks it's somewhat evil. And so, like, I'm his son. Like, it's fine. He doesn't have to listen to it. I don't really care. But that's just kind of a reflection of kind of the division that starts to happen when you start to experience some of this faith expansion. And a lot of the clients that I've worked with, it tears marriages apart. If one person holds really strong and the other person starts to look outside, it can tear families apart and things like that. Luckily, I have an awesome wife, and we've connected on our faith journeys. Been good for us, but I'm kind of lucky with that.
Oh yeah, you lucked out.
Yeah.
Because I mean, Jenny is a badass. She's sweet, open-minded, and I mean, you're describing, cult extraction, how it breaks up families, and it's all consuming and all the judgment. I mean, that's what I'm hearing. I just, having studied cults, your experience so far is sounding cultish.
It is, Corinne. And to call it that, like, I don't think is misrepresenting it at all. I was talking to someone last week who had left the church like 6 years ago. And she was saying how she still feels like she needs to raise her children in the church. And so there's this dissonance of like, I don't believe in this thing at all, but I still feel like that's what I'm supposed to do. And she made a comment. She's like, the Mormon is just in my bones. Like, it's, and so when we talk about indoctrination, it's so subconscious. And I believe it's energy. It's so subconscious and so like instilled into us, and to release it, you can't just intellectualize your way out of it. And this is why plant medicine was so profound for me, because it was medicine that actually got into those bones of mine, so to speak, that relinquished a lot of that energy from me. And it was the only way that I could let go of some of it. I still have a lot of it to let go of. But I was able to do that through my journey in Peru. And so, yeah, it's cultish. It's just built in. It's like, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's fascinating you talk about that. And God, thank goodness for some good plant medicine. It's like, right. It's like 20 years. So Brannon and I went to Peru together. So I was actually witness to his first experience with a plant medicine. So it's so brave of you to even be willing to do that based on your intense upbringing in that way.
That it's interesting because that helped me find God. It helped me feel just more at peace and better, and that's looked down upon as a sin and not okay, and I shouldn't have done that. So I had to
so is touching your own wiener. So it's safe to say that anything else beyond what is perfectly natural is even worse.
Right. And I believe that all of these things, I think commandments or whatever, like some of them are great. Like, sure, they protect you from becoming a drug addict or something. But a lot of these commandments are just about control. It's just about, if I can control you, you'll stay in. If I can force you to feel this guilt and this shame, you're going to continue to believe, and you're going to continue to pay your tithing and all of these things. And like, that's bullshit. Like, that's not how God works. And so, Corinne, one of my big things that kind of started breaking my shelf, so to speak, was years ago, over a decade ago, I'm a therapist in Utah County, and I'm treating all of these Mormons, and I'm just I'm noticing how the culture is just destroying people's lives. And then they go to their bishop and their church leaders for help, and they get horrible counsel. And there was a part of me in my integrity, although it was beaten in my head they have this saying around here they say, doubt your doubts. So before you have doubts, doubt your doubts.
Yeah. That's like mega.
Is that cultish?
It's ultimate gaslighting.
Yeah, that's gaslighting.
It's total gaslighting. Like, don't believe your instincts.
Don't trust your gut. Doubt your doubts. If you have questions, don't go there. Don't listen. Don't
challenge. Don't challenge us.
And if you do listen and it challenges you, that's Satan. That's Satan. Like, you're feeling that because you're listening to something that you're not supposed to. But I'm doing therapy in Utah County, and I'm watching lives get destroyed by this shameful, force-based culture. And something inside of me, deep inside of me, was like, I gotta acknowledge that something's broken here. Like, something's off.
Because you're not just going, hey, in my own beliefs, in my own experience for myself, this feels weird, but you're like in the trenches, helping people duke it out and seeing it over and over and over it again. So is it the people that are the issue, or is it the system that you're
that was my question in my head for years. I was like, is it that they're not living up to what they should, and that's why they're not happy? Or is it all the shoulds that are being put in them, telling them that they're wrong and broken and not okay? And after doing it long enough, I couldn't deny that the rigidity of the church was harming people. And
so did those doubts, was the intersection of those doubts that you're seeing in the trenches combined with the plant medicine awareness of like, holy crap, I've probably been lied to. Was all of that happening at the same time, or was it kind of building up?
So there's a combination of a lot of things. And I think this is what a lot of people don't understand. The doubts were there because I was seeing people's lives affected. But then when you dig into like the history of the church,
Yes.
there's a bunch of things that happened that I never was shown or never told. I was lied to. I was straight up lied to.
Wow.
And
what? Could you just give it like one or two juicy examples? I'm fascinated.
Here's one that came out recently, and it's still happening. Just a year ago, it came out that the church has $110 billion worth of assets, and they lied and never showed any of the members that, and nobody knew that at all. And
what?
And they're tax exempt. They don't pay any taxes. And a whistleblower who worked for the church came out and said, hey, they're manipulating a bunch of things to not pay any taxes. And something like they give something like 2% of what they get from tithing and things like that to charity. And so they just hoard all this money, and then hide it from the members that they're hoarding all this money. And then they get called on it. The whistleblower calls them on it, and their answer is, we're just doing what the Lord wants us to. We're being prudent with our money. Like this. So why are you hiding it? Like, okay, if you're doing what you should, then why you hide? So that's just one example of many.
Okay, that's juicy. That's
yeah.
I found that was cathartic, and that's just real fast. I just want to say, it's funny that you're saying, well, we're doing what the Lord wants, because in my family, we were watching it was like a 90-day fiance episode, and we're watching this guy, and he was from I guess LDS, not a Mormon, an LDS, right. and he was more on, no, it wasn't LDS. It was more, he was, adding another wife and talking his wife into it, and she didn't want to, and it's in the cameras and we're looking at it, and he wanted to go like hang out with this, beautiful little Colombian Betty. And he's like, the
Lord's telling me.
I know. And we have an ongoing joke. Every time we see this guy and he starts with the Lord, we go, what he really means is his penis is calling him to Colombia.
Yeah. So like here's one that, with this example, Joseph Smith had I don't know how many, he had over 22 wives. But one of his wives was 14 years old. And I was never told that growing up. I was never like, hey, Joseph Smith, preyed on a 14-year-old. And now the church is finally acknowledging that. By saying, Joseph Smith did have a wife that was almost 15 years old, is how they say it. and he didn't want to have that wife, but the Lord. So they put it on Jesus. So Jesus told Joseph to go marry a 14-year-old.
Yeah. So again, yeah.
Yeah. Stuff that's never talked about, stuff that's never said, until now they have to acknowledge it, because the internet and like things are kind of flushing all this stuff out, and the church is like, just don't look, doubt your doubts. Don't look, Don't look. Right.
Right.
And so coming back to my process, it was watching lives get hurt by the rigid culture, realizing they've been omitting things and deceiving me. But then there's a third piece to it, Corinne, which is complicated. And it's that my culture is the church. It's not just my religion. And so my family, weddings, funerals, baptisms, like there's all this cultural construct. And so you look at it and you're like, okay, like even if I don't believe in the church, I want to participate in some of these things because it's my culture. Yeah. And how do I not be in the church, but not lose some of the goodness of that culture, right? Mm-hmm. And so that's what's really tricky for a lot of people. I like the way I was raised in many ways. I like some of the things about it, and I don't want to let it go. Now, I realize Mormons don't have a corner market on those things, right? Mm-hmm. But I live here in Utah around a bunch of Mormons, and if I don't pay my tithing and I don't go to church, then I can't go to a temple marriage. I can't, like if my daughter were to get married in the temple, like I couldn't go to my own daughter's wedding. Yeah.
Oh my God. That's deep, Brannon.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Holy crap. So you are in the church now. I mean, just, you're still associated so you can tithe so that you can still participate in these events, because without that, then you would be barred from even to your daughter's wedding.
Some of those things. So whoa. I kind of am. And I don't know how long this will last for me, because they might, the more outspoken I get, they might disfellowship me or like tell me, sorry, you're out. Right.
Yeah.
And if they do, I don't care. But yeah, I'm still a part of the community. I still, if they have a church party, but it's like a neighborhood party here, I'm going to go like hang out with people in my neighborhood,
Yeah.
But my beliefs do not align with the church anymore. So that's one of the struggles for a lot of people in their faith expansion is how do I stay in my integrity and in my truth and honest about who I am, but still maintain some relationships and some constructs in my life that I still like. And can I have both? Can I be honest and open and out there with who I am? And can I, and the truth is you do lose some relationships. Some things do change. Even my career, like talking as openly as I do about this, I wonder if a lot of bishops and clients won't come to me because I'm this out there with this now.
Yeah, but what occurs to me is like, you might lose some people, but you will gain some people.
Yeah.
Have you seen that? People coming to you because you're so open?
People coming out of the woodworks. And it's like that friend I was talking to you about yesterday that contacted me of his struggles, and like people just coming out of the woodworks of saying like, thank you for talking about this. Thank you for being this open. And so I felt like because of that, I don't care really if I'm getting to the point where I hope that certain relationships can sustain through this. But if those relationships have to change some, that's okay.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to pretend to be somebody I'm not so that those relationships don't get affected.
Yeah.
So,
wow. I mean, just Brannon, that's just so, it's just, it's almost like this word is overused, but it is very truly courageous to be so embedded, I guess, in a really specific culture. It's not, over here, like where I am, because I don't have a specific identity attached to a church, it has been, I wouldn't say easy to come out of the spiritual closet and start talking about mystical things. It still had its edges because there's still a lot of
in general, there's a lot of judgment and all those things.
But losing my family or the ability to see my own children's wedding, like that's next level from my perspective. That is some serious cult shit right there. When I think about it, because and I love binge watching all cult documentaries and stuff like that. But when you see people who've left, you see the grief that they go through because they're leaving their people.
Right.
I mean, sometimes their mothers are left behind. Their mothers won't ever talk to them again because of, all of this stuff. So, I mean, it's really fascinating that you're actively doing that work out there, deconstructing, being as vocal as you are, because a lot of people are kind of like doing it under the hood.
Which I've done for a long time. Like I knew how to hide just right. Things like, I'll justify not being out there with what I believe because I need to be in on the inside in order to actually make a change in the church. And the reality is that's true. Like I am more influential when I'm on the inside, but that was my justification. Like I was doing that to hide from actually owning where I was.
Right.
And
Wow.
yeah.
You know, it's just occurring to me real fast that because you're telling me about on your mission, how for 2 years you didn't even touch yourself because you're that guy, meaning you want to do it right. You're looking for perfection.
I'm pure.
You're pure. So just the fact that you specifically are even, because you were one of those, like, you were taking it all the way, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So the fact that you're on this edge here and being so fierce about it, and of course it takes us all a while to come out of our shells a little bit to really own who we are in whichever way we're going to have to come out of our own closets in one way or the other.
Sure, right.
But I mean, it really is like amazing that you're right. You're getting dirty. You're scruffing it up a little bit, rough and dirty.
Totally. And yeah, I appreciate that, Corinne. I'm glad that you can see that, because like it is hard, and it has taken some real courage to just be like, I don't care, and I don't know where all of this is going to land. If I'm out there and honest and open, I don't think my wife will divorce me. I'm grateful for that one. I don't think I'll lose my career. I might get excommunicated from the church. It'll affect relationships in my family, so yeah, it's just how it is, it's also, there's been this other thing that's happened, Corinne, which is it's solidified and really helped relationships with other people who are going through similar things, and we can connect and talk and support each other.
Totally.
So I'm really grateful for that. That's been awesome.
Yeah. I mean, and because I have a lot of folks that listen in or that are in my communities, and they're always afraid. Either they're coming from really fundamentalist backgrounds in one way or the other, and they're accidentally a medium. Sorry.
Dang it. I can't deny it, but I am.
I actually am. And they actually want to start owning that part of themselves more, maybe being more vocal, or actually sharing their gift with others to help lift, the other people up. But it is such a huge process, for people, the rejection that they experience. But and I've walked a lot of people through this threshold over the last 10 years, actually. Mm-hmm. And I'm telling you, it has not been, it's been challenging in certain relationships, but usually it's those relationships you're kind of like, oh, thank God, it's kind of like gone.
That's true. Yeah.
Is that true for you too?
With some people, yes. Yeah. With others, it's grief. So some people, it's like good riddance, like, oh, yeah. With others, it's sad. It's
disappointing, huh?
I want them to, you can't control anybody with their spiritual journey. And just like I don't want them to control me, I can't force them to take a look and to open up their heart to like actually see some things. And as much as I want them to, one, because I just care about them, but two, I want to connect with them on certain things. And it just, you can't. Like, I have best friends and family members, and it just like, we got to talk about sports or the weather or something different.
Sure, yeah.
You can't go there,
Yeah, so. Bummer. But, I love what you're saying though about as you, this is taking me into like, the wheel of, as you let something go, it leaves space for something new to enter. And so you're receiving, the medicine, or for me, I see it as like, God or Great Spirit just gifting you. Okay, you're going to let go of some of that which was poison to you, but in return, we're going to gift you some medicine in the form of new connections, new people to help fill that space up a little bit as you grieve and let go of the old shell of what Brannon was indoctrinated to be versus who he is becoming and who he is.
I've been amazed in what you're saying, Corinne, and maybe, this is the way God's working with me, but like the immediateness of that, like immediately I felt love, I felt connection, I felt more like possibility and openness. I didn't feel alone. I didn't feel like God doesn't love me. I didn't feel any of that stuff. I didn't feel isolated. And so, yeah, it's like opened up this whole new world that's been amazing for me. And I've had deeper spiritual experiences and connections since, because it's not under the system anymore of toxic patriarchy and shame and fear and control and all of those things.
Yeah. Yeah, wonderful. I mean, it's like, connections on your own terms and I'm showing up more authentically, but how beautiful, you were saying in the beginning about how as they're telling you about God will punish you and do all these things. And you're like, that doesn't sound like God to me. The God that you're describing, the experience that you're currently describing about how you didn't feel loved, you didn't feel judged, that seems more like your cup of tea. Does that seem like your experience of God?
Absolutely. Like actual unconditional love.
Yeah.
And masculinity and femininity, like both, and not just toxic patriarchal God, like, and connection to nature. And I could go on and on, just like that is God to me. And, so yeah, that's way more my cup of tea. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah.
A little nature loving. Yeah. Cause I remember when we were in Peru, you talked about how you really got a really profound experience with the land itself, with Pachamama, and how she kind of came really alive for you. And I love to hear that you're still nourishing that relationship, and boy, how much we have lost. Our culture, our hearts have been sliced away when we turned our gaze away from the earth and decided that the creator wasn't in the earth itself.
I know. And then we put it in the hands of these power hungry men that like
money hoarding.
You could get me on my soapbox here, Corinne.
Oh my gosh, we have the same soapbox. I think we'll have to connect again. I'll do a 6 week series with just Brannon, so we can.
Let's do it. I'm in.
Oh God, yeah. So deconstructing from the patriarchal religion, and re-embracing, I think, what is natural for you.
I'm thinking, Corinne, it's like, it's weird for me to pray a little bit different than what I was taught, so I try to do it sometimes. Sometimes I'll pray to Pachamama, or and when I do, it's this like weird, icky feeling a little bit, like, what are you doing? Like, and this, how many years removed I am now, Corinne, from like, I should be praying to Heavenly Father. And I don't even like using the term Heavenly Father. It's so cartoony and I don't like it.
Cartoony.
It's just like, I don't know. It's just, but like still even praying to like a divine feminine or even just talking just to God, like God's my friend. Like that's still hard for me because it's so in my bones still of like, nope, you should be this way, right? Doing these things. And so, it's still a process for me. I'm still deconstructing it. I mean, I was indoctrinated for 35 years, it's going to take me some time to flush some of this out. So
I know. I mean, it sounds like a process and like, even, I was in a cult, but it wasn't for a long lifetime. Okay. And it was more like a magic school, which
you were in a cult.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It was awesome though. I mean, it was like, they were trying to be cultish, but it was kind of like, like nice try. It's kind of flimsy, if you ask me.
Not
as far
quite
as cults
strong
go.
enough of
not quite committed enough, I guess. There's still a lot more freedom than I know. Back in my old cult days, I was, in my early 20s or whatever. But I forgot where I was going with that. It's just fun to say cult and cult over and over again, isn't it?
It's good to know you got some cult experience, though.
I got some cult in me. Yeah. So I know a little bit about it. But
I mean, maybe this statement is too much, but wouldn't you say any really rigid, powerful religion is a cult?
Well, I have here, thank you for saying it. I have a whole writing about it that I haven't even published yet because it's a little much, but really, and it starts with, what is the difference between a cult and religion?
Yeah.
And my fundamental, when I kind of ruminate and talk to spirit about it, it's, a religion is just older. And
it's a cult that standed the test of time.
Exactly, because they were so good at the mind control.
Yeah.
So good at the structures, also good at aligning with the political figures or the power to maintain their quote unquote authority. So, when you think about, like, for me, I just think about government, right? And how the big mega churches, they're up there, being homies with like the Supreme Court. And, because they have dialed it in. They've had a couple thousand years to dial it in and be power adjacent with the wealthy, and law enforcement, and in Scientology down in LA. I mean, there's a lot of heat in Scientology as far as quote unquote cults go, and they're finding all this, all the LAPD complicit, looking the other way with rape cases and disappearings and all of that stuff.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. So that's my thing is like, I think all religions come from the same source as a mystical, either a mystical experience or a total freaking liar that just created.
Or a total liar. You're right. So it's like but a lot of times it's a person that. Yeah,
it's always a person.
And they want power. And then they control with their power. And then somehow with a lot of them, it seems like it's some guy that ends up wanting to have a bunch of sex.
Well, that's where they always end up.
That's how it always ends up, right?
That's where it always ends up. So all the other boys aren't allowed to touch their wieners.
Yeah. Sex is horrible.
Yeah.
But Brigham Young has 57 wives. Like,
yeah, exactly.
How do we not take a step back and just say, what the fuck?
I know.
What? This
is the math.
Crazy. Yeah.
Like really look at it, right?
But instead, let's turn a blind eye to that and keep, following this. And I can't turn a blind eye in my life. So
yeah.
And a lot of it, Corinna, and I know we're probably getting down to it with time, but a lot of it is about the timing of my parenting with my children, because they're growing up and I have a choice as a parent to just keep them on the, in the chain, right? Of let's indoctrinate them now too, so that we can keep going. Or I can say, nope, I want my kids to learn how to discern. I want my kids to own truth when it's there. I want my kids to speak up when it's not, if they want to. Yeah. And so like my 15-year-old is very smart. She's very, she can see things really well. And I'm not gonna force feed her this bullshit, because she's not made to do that. And so I'm at a point as a father where it's like, nope, I'm going to own this so far, because I can't have my kids go down the same path that I had to go down. So. Right.
Interesting. Yeah. You're not going to, that makes a lot of sense. And it's really commendable. And again, courageous, because then, what happens later down the line? Are they going to be rejected? All of those things. But owning your truth is what I keep hearing, for you, Brannon, and you're such a testament to just showing up courageous in your community and just being willing. It's like you got this invisible shield. Here I am.
Hey, I've taken a bunch of Mormons to Peru to do plant medicine. So yeah,
exactly. That's what I mean. You're a revolutionary, Brannon. And, it's funny, just, I have had a lot of Mormons come to Casa Condor up there to do psychedelic journeys with us up there. And I'm saying you are saving your kids some serious shit, because I always know if I'm walking, there's a palpable difference when it's a lot of people who are in the process of deconstructing. It is so deep down into the bones, and it's wonderful to watch the medicines and watch the allies there at the land and the mountain really take care of them and maybe serve them up a real healthy dose of the unconditional love and see what that's like.
You gave me the chills as you're talking there, because I've experienced it myself, and it's so different than everything we've been living in for our whole lives. So,
and there is an opportunity. So if there is a message that you have for our listeners who are really kind of resonating with your journey here, what message do you have for them, Brannon?
I would just say, no matter what, if you really want peace, then no matter how hard it is, then you have to step into truth. And and truth can be manipulated so much, but your gut, your intuition can feel it. And Corin, you're a great example to me of somebody who has had truth inside of you, and despite the consequences, you go forward with it. And I think so many people live their lives just in fear, and they never actually experience that peace. Yeah. So if you're there, like, step out of it, step into it, face it, because it's not as scary as you think that it is. And I believe God needs you. God needs your truth. So
yeah. I agree. I think it's beautiful when people really start claiming who they are, reclaiming it, and finding allies, really, support in other people. And so please do follow Brannon Patrick. It's the Brannon Patrick Show, right, Brannon?
Yeah. And if you're a Mormon listening to this, come follow me and look me up, contact me, and we'll go out to Corin's retreat center and do some plant medicine with you. So
serving it up.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you little rebel. We're rebels. We're rebels.
Yes.
It feels so good. Oh, one last really important question. What is your current relationship with your penis today?
It is amazing. It's wonderful. There's there's a lot of pleasure, and it's much better than when I was 19. I'll just say that.
I like to hear the reunion. You guys are. I'll tell you what. Everybody should have a guilt-free relationship with your penis and your vagina. Either one. Vag.
Yeah, either one.
It's all good.
Talk about liberation.
Hilarious. I'm glad you and your penis are back on speaking terms.
Yes. I can actually look down at it like, whoa, it's there.
It's there. The truth is, I have a penis. Yes. It's here.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, Brannon. Well, it's been such a pleasure, dude. I love talking to you. We had so many other things we wanted to talk about. So I'll have you back so we can talk about all the even more stuff.
Let's do it.
More amazing stuff. But hopefully I'll see you in Shasta soon.
Yep. Sounds good, Corin. Thanks for having me.
Yes. And make sure to hit up Brannon. And what's your website, Brannon?
You can go to, I have two. You can go to brannonpatrick.com, but the better one is the brannonpatrickshow.com. So check that out.
Cool. Yep. All right, son. Thanks so much, Brannon. And hopefully you enjoyed today's episode of the Corin Grillo Show. More to come.
Vibrating at the highest frequency of the bunch. Every soul shall adapt to match that at once. Oh, how we channel high mammal, no dunce. Cap who it fits, do with this what he wants. Merlin style, curling like prisms. Past lifetime, regressions, new mission. No obsession, no resting, true destined. We blew breath in where death laid its weapon. Arise, call on master builder skies. Open up planets, align at the will.